Even men at the top of their game find themselves wanting more from life. Whether it's more meaning, unshakable confidence, a bigger impact, more money, deeper love, a hotter sex life, or a powerful legacy. Find out how good your life can be on this episode of Man Alive. Also, as I've supported men in their love and work lives for 15 years now, many men ask for the right words to say to be more successful, attractive, and desirable. But I found it's not so simple as giving scripts or lines because every man is different. So giving words or scripts would be like giving a tall, thin man a shorter, wider man's pants, or vice versa. The words have to make sense for you and your personality, and there's so much happening beneath the surface that people are responding to. If you're interested in how to become a better lover and leader in your own unique way, go to shanajamescoaching.com/quiz, or you can text ALIVE to 44144. It only takes a couple minutes and you'll start to get an idea of how you can be both more respected and desired. After you fill it out, we can schedule a time to review your quiz and talk about your specific challenges and desires. So again, go to either shanajamescoaching.com/quiz or text ALIVE to 44144. That's ALIVE to 44144. Enjoy this episode of Man Alive. Hello and welcome to this episode of Man Alive. I'm thrilled to be here with Kenny Mammerella-D'Cruz. Welcome back, Kenny.
So chuffed to be here.
Chuffed, did you say?
Chuffed. Do you know the word?
It's an English word, chuffed.
I guess it's a kind of slang. It's like chuffed. It's better than pleased.
I love it.
It lands nicer.
That's great. Well, it is the end of a really crazy year, end of 2020, and we're in the midst of a pandemic, and you have done some really beautiful work around gathering men and helping men gather, with or without you. And you've had a book come out about helping men create their own circles and facilitating their own circles. And I wanted to have you here, especially at this time of year, to share about that and share about how men can get through hard times, not being alone and not having to be isolated and not having to feel like there's something worse about them or wrong about them. So thank you so much for everything you've been doing and for being here.
Thank you. The tragedy, I believe, is that so many men show up to the men's groups with what's wrong with me and how do I do this right?
Yeah.
Or how do I do me right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the bottom line is, and they do kind of like so often want to hand over power to be fixed. Tell me the answer and I'll do what I'm told. And then I'm safe and everything will be okay and I'll be the same as everyone.
Yeah.
Where it's more about who are you rather than how to do you right.
Who are you rather than how to do you right.
Or maybe it's who are you? It's from am I to I am.
Right.
So rather
which
than
we talked about in the last podcast, right?
Exactly.
Explain that one.
So rather than handing power over to other people and expecting them to say, yes, you are doing you right. Am I safe? Am I appropriate? I didn't know who I was, basically.
Oh, wait, hold on one second. I just realized instead of muting.
So rather than how do I do me right? It's more really, who are you? Mm-hmm. Because there's nothing wrong with people. People don't need fixing. They just need space to exist.
I love that.
And from there to connect with other people. Yeah. I can't connect with anyone if I don't exist. But if I become whatever I imagine they want me to be, then maybe they'll be bored for a long time, but at least they don't chuck me.
Right.
So, don't abandon me, bend me, shape me any way you want me.
Yeah. And I love that distinction from am I good enough? Am I right? Am I who you want me to be? To I am here. I am good. I am
available. I actually exist and I'm available to you. Yeah. Rather than I exist because I will be whoever I fantasize you want me to be.
God, I'm still unraveling that one, after 20 or 30 years of doing work, 20, 25 years. I just keep revisiting like, oh, that's another way that I am not just okay being who I am. I think I need to be who you want me to be. Otherwise you're going to go away.
Yeah.
It's so
Or
deep and
it could
layered.
even be I got attention by being angry or
Mhm.
ill or dramatic or
Mhm.
whatever. So I'll
Or
carry on
good or
playing that
nice or
role.
yeah, all of those
Exactly,
things.
mummy's boy or whatever. But I'll carry on playing that role so I'm not abandoned. The magic of what happened with lockdown for me is my whole life started to make sense. So um, a few days before lockdown, I got a message from a friend who works with me, basically saying, I've got the symptoms. Maybe you should self isolate. So I self isolated. And it was a weird thing to, because, we weren't in isolation yet, to be not going out, to be kind of contaminated, or, there's an
Mhm.
inside and an outside. It was weird. And by the second day, I found that I was looking out of the window, expecting to see the military on the street corners. And I
From
was
your youth.
exactly, I
Yes.
was expecting to hear gunfire. And
Yeah.
it's almost as if the silence without gunfire was just silence between gunfire.
Yes.
And it was weird. There was a different feeling inside of me
Mhm.
and a different relationship to the world. And I was really chuffed that I could feel that, where before I'd
And
just
remember, chuffed
survived
is
it.
actually, you were happy that you could feel that,
Happy,
which
happy.
I just want to say for many people, they would be like, are you kidding me? Happy that you could feel the trauma of your past. So
Oh,
this is
yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah,
your
true.
wisdom that you're bringing to
I
us.
guess there's that perspective.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, I kind of believe that when crap stuff comes up,
Mm-hmm.
it's not coming up to say, run, I'm going to get you.
Uh-huh.
It comes up to say, I'm the next bit for you to know so you can grow. I'm the
Yes.
wormhole. I'm the porthole. I'm the part for you to include or turn the volume down
Yes.
or listen to or be with,
Yeah.
because when you're with me, then job done and you can be more. So I guess that's my perspective.
Which is a huge perspective shift and amazing and powerful that if you can actually welcome what's arising, the pain, the trauma, the memories, that this is actually to be worked with, to be welcomed, to be healed, that's a game changer.
It's not like it happens instantly.
No. How does it
And
happen for you so men can have a sense of what that's like?
weirdly, it's generally unconsciously. There's a feeling.
Uh-huh.
And I would say one of the differences between boys and men is boys try to fix the feeling
Mm-hmm.
or fantasize or control the feeling and make it go away,
Mm-hmm.
escape it, deny it. Where men can be with the feeling rather than pushing it in the head to survive or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And for me, what I've learned to do is be present. The man in me is present. That's the past. It's not going on now. But I can feel it inside. There is a feeling, and it might not be easy to locate the feeling, but
Mm.
breathe. And maybe there's a feeling or a tightness somewhere in the body or a tightness in the neck, or
Yeah.
I don't know, fists or buttocks clenched or something. There will
Some
be a
kind of
feeling.
tension or clenching. Mhm.
Exactly.
That you notice.
Breathe into it,
Uh-huh.
because the normal survival route is in the head. Fantasize, fix, make it okay, don't go there, lockdown.
Right. Our breath gets shallow. We pull away from that tension and we try to avoid it or not feel it
Yeah.
instead of, like you're saying, okay,
And
actually
then it's
breathe
in
into it.
limbo.
Mhm.
Exactly. And when I breathe into it, I can feel it.
Mhm.
But I
And then
breathe
what?
into it. Well, then the man in me is present
Okay.
rather than the panic. When
Mhm.
I'm embodied, when I'm grounded, I'm present. When I'm present, the boy in me who is emotional and vulnerable and insecure and probably had a broken spirit
Mhm.
can be held by me
Yes.
because I am here. He's not being sent into the war zone in panic and unconsciousness. We're not doing that survival. So I'm here. The child is safe. And I can feel into my feelings and follow the feelings. And that's where I found me. And it was amazing. If I didn't do that, then I would probably find someone to pick on.
Yes.
And it might be inside of me, and I
Yeah.
might get into depression, or, this is where suicidal thoughts and feelings come in.
Mhm.
It's like in the dark,
Mhm.
because with all the fixing and avoiding feeling, it's like, what's the answer? How do I stop this?
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom line with that in the past for me has, well, the only way I can control this is by removing myself from the situation.
Yeah.
And it can be that cold and logical. So if that's the bottom line, stop thinking. It has never fixed anything.
Amazing. Stop thinking. I mean, in all of my spiritual practice over the years, I think that is one of the goals, to get beyond the mind and into the body and the heart, into the present moment, where thoughts are not the only way that we're interacting with the world, and actually to make them less prioritized in the world. And it's such, I think from one perspective, I can look at it and think that makes so much sense. And from another perspective of having grown up in such a mental society, it's like, what on earth are you talking about?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's just so, as you said that about society, I don't want to be programmed anymore.
No, please, especially with
I
what our
can't
society
listen.
looks like these days.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too fast, and it affects me. And I don't believe so much of not only what's going on in conspiracy theories, but I don't believe the stuff that I consume. And I know from my past, it wasn't all true.
Yeah.
And even whether it is or it's not, I guess one of the ways I got into the whole feeling thing is when I tried to fix me.
Mm-hmm.
I got stories together from my own memory, including bridge memories that fill gaps and make things up that I then believed.
Yeah.
From my mother, my father, my aunt, my cousins, whoever I could ask. And I got so many different stories from so many different lenses, and they didn't really help that much.
Mm.
It was interesting. But then I realized, bummer, the only story that actually matters is my emotional story.
Uh-huh.
Because that was my experience. And that's where I need to meet me.
And when you say emotional story, it's like the emotional experience you actually had in that past moment.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And it may not be in any order. It may be totally incorrect, factually.
Yeah.
But
you
if
still
that's what
felt
I
it,
felt,
right?
then that was my reality.
And that
And
was
as a
what your
child,
body and your emotional system holds on to.
exactly.
Right. That's actually a great distinction, that you might have a memory emotionally, and you might tell your parents or your aunts or your uncles, and they may say, well, that actually wasn't the fact of how it went.
Mm-hmm.
But we hold on to that emotional sense of how we interpret things and how we, organize it in our own psyches.
Yeah. And build a sense of self and am I to survive it, or the worst of it, or the fantasy of it.
Yes.
Or the place that I'm stuck in the past with it.
Yes. And that am I, again, just for men who are listening and trying to grok this, right? Am I good enough? Am I okay? Will you tell me who I am and, validate me, as opposed to resting in that ourselves?
And generally for men, am I going to be abandoned?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to be humiliated? And everything else is generally a variation of that.
Interesting. Those two.
So I needed to exist. I needed to not be a nice guy, second guessing and surviving, etc.
Yeah.
So it is this whoopee, here's some crap for me to let go of type thing that came up with my gunfire and military and everything else.
Wow.
And I didn't put it in too much, but I did feel weird. I felt insecure. I felt
What do you
vulnerable.
mean I didn't put it in too much?
I didn't totally disconnect and get into my head and find problems and things to fix and, go down that plug hole pointlessly into the darkness pointlessly.
Yeah.
Which would have been a form of control for me. And I didn't lash out. Luckily, I didn't lash in.
Right. You didn't lash in, you didn't lash out.
Luckily, I didn't lash out. And I think it's because, I've got people in my life I can speak with.
Right.
Or even say, check this out. What's this about? Or even, I just need to bully you for a short while to get it out, but it'll be over soon. Would you be cool?
Right. As long as it's there's consent there, right? Can we play this out? Can
Yeah, pretty
we
much.
play out this dynamic in a consensual way, as opposed to I'm going to surprise you with it and start to lash out or bully?
And it may not be that eloquent, but generally it is, because there's a tone and is there, and then there might be, you're right, what's going on? It's like, okay, we know we're going to go into some no man's land here, and that's all right, because
Yeah.
that's how we grow, and this is why we're here, and this is normal, and this this is
Well,
proper real life.
it's normal, you're saying, but it's not normal for so many people. So that's why I just want to keep bringing
Yeah,
it back
true.
to, like, it's normal for you now. It's normal for me now because we've been doing this for a long time. But for some of the men listening who are like, what on earth? That is not normal. It's
Depressed,
not what I call normal.
depressed. Exactly. Yeah. I get, this is the tragedy.
Yeah.
And this is the turnaround from suppress, depress, am I, who do I need to be,
Uh-huh.
to I can feel myself here.
Yeah.
I can feel when something's not quite right.
Yeah.
I can feel my anger and my sadness and my joy. I am here and now,
Yes.
and I'm able to relate to you, and
Yes.
I'm able to change.
Okay, so
Rather
to make
than,
this simple then, right? As a man starts feeling the here and now, the anger, the sadness, the frustration, whatever it is, what are the simple things? And I know you created your men's groups for this very reason, that men could actually show up and say it to someone and be held and, be seen, be understood. Is that what you would suggest?
so to use us here and now as an example,
Yeah.
if I came here with am I, then I'd probably go, am I going to be good enough? Is she going to ask me something really difficult? Should I ask her quickly what she's going to ask me? Is she going to trip me up? Is she going to be this really clever, powerful woman, and I'll turn into this whimpering little boy? Okay, so I'd ask so many questions, and I'd be in my head with so much trauma that
Mhm.
I might overthink and over-organize myself, because I've given all my power to, will her audience think I'm okay?
Yeah.
Will I make and it's just fear,
Yes.
and it's all reaction, and it's panic, and I don't even exist in this. Where am I is, oh my God, it's so cool. She's such good company. We'll hang out. And the thing about us is, I can be a bit mad and I can be calm, but I can be me with her.
Yeah.
In fact, it's great because I can be so much more me with her.
Yeah.
And if anything's out of alignment and I say something that's wrong or a bit weird, she'll ask me, or I can go back and say, wait a minute, let me just run that back.
Right.
So I so exist, and I so meet at boundaries, and we can so explore together, that I am blissfully excited to be here, and I can stop and breathe into what's going on and respond. So it's
Yeah.
not all fear, it's love.
Right. From the
It's
shift
not
from fear to
reaction.
love, that shift from am I to I actually am.
It's not reaction,
Yep.
it's response.
And
It's not
and there
scared
is a
little boy.
self-validation that I think is a practice, is my belief. I'm curious what you would say, because it doesn't just happen once, and it doesn't just happen in one moment and suddenly all of a sudden I'm like, I am good and I'm good forever. I go through waves of am I am, am I am I am. So I'm curious how you see it.
I love, and that's when stuff comes up. It's nice to get the theory while we're hanging out and everything's fine and dandy, but it's in the field
Yeah.
when this feels scary. There's something not right here. And that's when I would expect to get it so-called wrong. I'd expect to get out of alignment and notice I'm out of alignment,
Yeah.
rather than I'm always fine and above everything. It's like, no, I like this crazy feeling of vulnerable and out of control. I like the anger and the fear. There's something alive in me, and I want to know what
Mm,
this is. I
alive.
don't
I
like,
love that.
yeah,
Right. That's why I called it
because
man
am I is
alive, that
so small.
aliveness. Hmm.
Exactly. And when I'm small and surviving, I'm not alive.
Hmm.
There's no life in my aliveness.
Right. And that
When I'm coming from am
permission,
I?
somehow I just had this image of a man, walking down the street, finally feeling that sense of, I am who I am. And if you don't like it, it's not necessarily a fuck you, but it's like, if you don't like it, go be with someone else, right? You know, we are
Yeah.
our own unique beings. And if we don't if someone else isn't happy around us, it's kind of their problem in a way. I mean,
Do you know,
sometimes we're stuck because we are married or we are in a relationship that's ongoing. But ultimately, I think we have to like ourselves.
I totally agree. And there's one slight shift
Great,
there that
please.
can make the world of difference. Because am I does include, and if you don't like it, where I am is not even noticing.
Ah,
Because when people who I don't like or don't respect um, knock me or don't
yeah.
like me or disrespect, you know, it's almost a compliment because I don't need to please everyone to be safe anymore. It's
Hmm.
like, well, I must be on the right lines. Where if it's someone I respect or
Oh,
someone that, then it's like, well, now that might be some really interesting feedback because I need to see whether what that person has to say will bring more to me of me to the party or whether I
okay.
actually
You're
don't
saying so
agree.
many good things and we're going by them so fast. Because you just said right two things. One, if someone has something that they don't like, it actually could bring more of me to the party. If I'm not defending and I respect this person, it actually calls out more of me and I can look at myself and be more
Yeah,
clear and conscious. And am I in integrity with myself? Am I aligned with my values? All of those things.
it's a growth possibility, but it
Yes.
doesn't mean that this person's right. It means there's something to explore. What could be
Great.
more exciting?
Right. We don't have to necessarily do it in the right or wrong. This person's right. That makes me wrong, but it's a growth possibility.
And that's what I am is all about because it's about here and now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that gives me space in the next moment to change,
Yes.
to totally change. Or rather than, okay, what's my latest sales pitch to myself and the world about who I am? Doesn't come into it because as soon as I've nailed it, it's an old sales pitch. It's a rusty old nail.
It's an old
Where
story.
exactly, where if I'm quite simply just letting go of who I no longer am, I don't even need to think about that bit
Right.
because, you know, I don't keep rummaging through my rubbish before I let it go because I'm done with it and there's nothing there for me.
Mm.
It's just letting go of who I no longer need to be,
Oh,
respecting it because it's brought me here, totally
beautiful.
respecting it.
Yeah.
But I can let go of who I no longer need to be. And that totally changes and fine tunes my frequency
Yep.
of this is who I am right here and right now. And the space to change, but right here and right now, this is exactly who I am in alignment with myself
Hmm.
between heaven and earth, nice and grounded, present and connected. And that frequency going out can surely attract a similar frequency
Hmm.
with signs and temptations.
Right. And I'm thinking that this is who I am here and now is less of a mental, like now I know myself to be a father. I know myself to be a husband. I know it's more just that present moment. I am here and I'm not needing to prove anything or defend anything or make you think anything about me.
Not an issue.
Mm-mm.
As soon as I have those thoughts, here's the turnaround. As soon as I find myself coming from am I or fear or not breathing, in that split second, it's like, ah, there you go. Thank you for reminding me who I used to be. I breathe right into my body, out of my head, and I'm present and connected. And it's who I used to be. So there's space for who I am to show up here and now
Wow.
and re engage
Wow.
back. And I'm breathing again, not lost in space. And that's where the man in me shows up. The boy in me is safe
Mm-hmm.
here and now.
Mm-hmm.
And if I need to like time travel back a bit to see what it is that's going on, then there's a man in me holding the boy. We can follow the emotions, not be owned by the past or all those fears and feelings. Go back and it's like, there I am.
Yeah.
That's the bit. I found my piece of gold in the darkness. That's
Mm.
what it came up.
And
And
then you get to
now
what do you do with that? How do you help men kind of integrate that, or is it just something that you think naturally gets integrated?
what happened is soon after I realized what was going on and that I was triggered,
Hmm.
a few days later, there was lockdown. And I thought, right, I know that trick. And now my childhood in Africa makes sense, because it just got re-triggered.
Yeah.
I wonder who else is going to be triggered, and I hope they don't start damaging themselves or going into their addictions and avoidances and depression and whatever, suicides up anyway.
Right.
And I hope they don't lash out on other people. So there needs to be a space where we can check in. This is my name. This is how I feel right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be even you for people to know what they feel right now,
Right.
or even
Actually.
that they're allowed to have a feeling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That might be a little trip on its own. And what's
So you
up?
turned it into service. You turned it into actually being there
Totally.
for other people and making space for other people.
And that's how I feel it works, is when I go into the shadow,
Yeah.
and I find myself in a place, I need to be with that feeling, maybe name that feeling. It doesn't mean necessarily make a meal of it and talk about it and make a personality out of it.
Yeah.
It's just sit with it and feel it. And once it's felt, then it kind of disappears, or
Yeah.
the goodness of it just kind of becomes part of the whole.
It is interesting once we feel things. I was sitting with something. My partner made this beautiful request of me a couple days ago, and I've been sitting with this sense of kind of gripping and tension and wondering, like, what the hell? Why, after hearing a beautiful request, would I feel all of this tension and this darkness? And it took like a day and a half of just noticing that there and going along, doing my work, being with my kid and noticing all of this tension. And finally, this clarity came of, the fear, which makes sense, right? This fear that I wasn't going to be able to live up to this request. I wasn't going to be able to live up to the level of consciousness or what it might take for me to step into that. And once I got that, what was going on or what that fear was, it's released its grip. So now I can still look at that. And now we could actually have a conversation about it instead of me just being in this, confused, darkened, tense place.
Yeah. It's really weird the way, if I don't name the story owns me.
Yes.
It's not even a story, it's who I am.
And
Unconsciously.
I don't think most people live that way in their relationships. Like, oh, I'm having this imagining, or I'm having this story that you're seeing me a certain way, or I'm having a story about myself. The stories just tend to be what we take to be reality.
And if I change my story, then maybe I'm betraying us.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm okay and happy and bigger and the enemy, somehow. And then what's going to happen to us? And then who am I? And what if everyone turns against me?
Right.
Just like either they did or I
Yes.
saw happen in the playground.
Yeah.
Or on a TV show or something.
Yeah.
This is not logical. This is so emotional. And am I, for some people, the goodness and the reason I respect people when they stay in am I is, if you need control and you need to hold it together, then got to respect that.
Yeah.
Am I enables control.
Mm-hmm.
And if your choice is control over vulnerability, then I did that for a long, long time, and I survived. I totally, if it wasn't for my control, I mean, sure, it was Groundhog Day and it was the same old story, and I knew how to survive it. And, I was getting my fixes of adrenaline, and, I knew exactly, I was in control. I hated it, but I
you
knew
survived.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew how to survive it. That was the tension. I was always on that tension. And it was like, at some level, I was addicted to the adrenaline. And if that wasn't there, then I was really scared. Then I got into fearful feelings rather than that high and that trauma that I knew. And then I was in the music business, I was in newspapers, I had deadlines with my marketing business, and it was all that edge. There was too much, too fast, tight deadlines. And it was like, go, 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 go getter, on the edge. And it was just so slick and trendy. And, it was so on the edge. But my God, it can only last for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Toxic, unavailable, not intimate, not safe, a totally vulnerable individual out of control,
Yeah.
rather than a vulnerable individual out of control, but curious and able to
And
be
connected.
connected
Mm-hmm.
and not being drained by adrenaline, but being enlivened and inspired through endorphins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I know when I'm here, rather than I know myself on the edge just before, in that, at that, the emotional scene of the crime that I had or I feared from before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I respect that. I did that. And it does mean that making the shift means you're going to be out of control for the rest of your life, pretty much, because once you know, you can't not know. It's a
So
big deal.
fascinating. That would be a whole other episode about what it is. What's it actually like to live out of control, but not, there's a free fall, but it's different once you actually accept that out of controlness versus the fight of that being out of control.
Yeah. And the thought of it
Yeah.
is absolute stupidity. But to actually go through that wormhole
Yes,
opens up other dimensions of awareness.
it does.
And in a very simple way, when the man in me is present,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm not second guessing life and having this imaginary survival thing going on, that I can feel what's going on with life and I'm present with it.
Yeah.
Finally, there is the relief of connection.
Yes.
And because I've got I haven't got a traumatized child running the show. Now a man in me is here. My child is safe. And that child can now basically inform me through intuition, through love,
Mm-hmm.
through connection,
Mm-hmm.
through God, through nature,
Yeah.
through just being,
Right. But it's not driving the bus.
And it's not totally, it's not abandoned driving the bus.
Yeah.
And because the protector showed up to survive life, and that is the I am, is in control of the protector with nothing new that could possibly happen. The protector has the most incredibly fine tools. And this information, rather than fearing and fantasizing and shutting down the future, this information can be given to the man in me in the center.
Yes.
And if that's what you're thinking of doing, then you might want to think about these things. And if you want to go that way, then think about this. But it's not panic and it's not a shutdown.
Right.
It's information.
I love it. It's like a board of directors, or right, you're handing over the information, and then you get to consciously look at that. Okay, we could talk about this for millions of years.
True.
I want to wrap us up, and I'm wondering, what do you want to leave men with, especially around the men's circles and these processes that you walk men through?
Name it. Don't blame it or shame it. Because blame can be, I'm a victim because, and nothing's going to change, and more stories. And that's making a personality out of it. That's being, am I allowed to live beyond this story?
Yeah.
Shame can be the most crippling thing. I would rather die than die of embarrassment, or cause pain or be in pain. So break the spell on shame, because what was shameful when you were a kid is not shameful now. And the whole point of coming to the groups and saying, this is what's up for me, is you get to hear what's up for everyone. You get to hear what's up for you, and you get to feel into it and have it in front of you rather than behind you and running you. So you keep running and keep surviving. So name it and break the spell. Be more, then there's more to love.
I love that sense of breaking the spell, right? When we are holding on to something, I think about Brene Brown and how she talks about shame and how it really thrives in the darkness, right? It's like a cockroach in a way. And once it comes out into the light, oh, we can look at it. We can, we can do whatever we need. I mean, this is a bad example because it's not like the thing is the cockroach, but when it's actually, when we share it with someone else, when we speak it, when we don't make it that it's this holy thing about us that is in control of us, right? The monster actually shrinks down to a size that,
Yeah.
oh, this is something I can handle. This is something I can navigate. This is something with support. Maybe I need some support, but I can actually face it and work with it.
Life's not out to get me. It's trying to communicate with me. And I
Oh,
believe it's the same for anyone else that wants it to be that way.
yeah. Thank you. I'm so glad you joined us for today's episode of Man Alive. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and it gave you something to consider and explore in your life. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful for you to subscribe and write a quick review that helps men like you find us. And again, head over to shanajamescoaching.com/quiz or text the word ALIVE, ALIVE, to 44144 to get a sense of how you can become a better lover and leader. You'll start to see how you can be both more respected and desired in your unique and genuine way. If you don't feel as confident or as excited about life or love as you'd like to be, this quiz is a really great starting point and will guide you toward a more passionate love life and a more inspiring and successful career. So again, text ALIVE, ALIVE, to 44144 or head over to shanajamescoaching.com/quiz. Join us each week for a new episode of Man Alive.